Welcome to another episode of ArtCo Drone Solutions. We've got a great show tonight, and our guest is Marcus Crawford, all the way from Idaho, also known as Idaho Quadcopter. Welcome to the show, Marcus.
Hey, thank you, Art. Appreciate the invitation. Always happy to talk about drones.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you are from Idaho. Are you an Idaho native, or are you from
Yeah,
a transplant? You're a native. Okay.
well, though I've been around a little bit.
Okay.
So I actually grew up on a farm in Northern California. Lived much of my adult life in Oregon, in Klamath Falls, Oregon, and Roseburg, Oregon. So kind of central, rural kind of Oregon, and then I ended up in Seattle, Washington for about 6 years.
Wow.
And in 1997, moved here to Idaho, and where I met my lovely wife, and been here ever since.
Are you in Boise, or what? What
Just
city are?
yeah, are just outside of Boise, in a little. It's kind of a bedroom community called Meridian, Idaho.
Okay. Great. 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 Years ago, there used to be a comedy club there called the Comedy Works. There in Idaho. Back in I think it was in the '90s.
Was that one of the ones that you worked
I never
at?
got a chance to work there. It was closed before I got a chance to work there. But yeah, but I did work. I did do a one nighter in Idaho Falls, Idaho.
Oh boy, Idaho Falls. There you go. Yeah, the gateway to Yellowstone National Park.
Yeah, that was a fun show. That was our tour of Idaho, Montana, and Eastern Washington. So that was a lot
Got
of
ya.
fun. So, okay, what else? How did you get into drones?
Well, I probably got into drones the same way all of us do. When you started seeing toy quadcopters about, anybody that's kind of a gearhead or interested in things like that, that's going to catch your attention. So I thought, hey, I can do that, and
Right?
I bought a little toy drone, and of course, I don't think I ever even got the thing to hover one time. I mean, it was all over the place. And
Right.
then I thought I knew what I was talking about, so I bought a bigger toy drone, a JJRC something or other. And yeah, that thing, it didn't even have altitude hold or
Oh
anything. And
boy.
I think I would got it to hover a couple times, but yeah, I mean, it was a piece of work. Uh, but then my first serious drone, when DJI started uh, selling some refurb Phantom 3s, I bought a Phantom 3 Standard,
Right.
which was a great drone
Yeah.
to start with.
Yes, it was.
I think at the time it was about $360, I think, something like that. It was pretty reasonable, direct from DJI.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, then I was hooked, like
Yeah.
most of the rest of us. Well, once you get it up in the air and you figure out that, hey, I can actually control the thing, and I can actually point that camera where I want it to point,
Right.
and the when you saw the quality of videography that you could do with the stabilized camera on the thing, then you're hooked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Phantom 3 Standard was my first serious drone after I had a few toy drones. My first drone was a Bugs 3, and you know that's where I cut my teeth on drones. Then I got a little smaller toy drone that I could fly around in the apartment so I could practice. And then when I got the Phantom 3 and took that out, I was like, as soon as I got it, I'm like, oh, I felt like a kid at Christmas I can't wait to get it out there. Got it out there, and I finally got it to fly, and I'm like, oh my God, this thing is so easy. It stays there. I get let go of the controls, and it'll stay there, and I'm like going, oh man, this was so
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, it's a whole new world.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah. And I think that's a common story for almost everybody I know that got into drones. You know, they got intrigued by a little toy,
Yeah.
and then they got serious. You know.
Yeah, and then you start watching these videos and what you could do with a drone and possibly make money with a drone. And I go, hey, that's where I want to be. I want to learn how to be a better pilot and possibly make some money at it. And so the first guy I saw was Kelly Shores that raced that drone, and he did some mods on the Buds 3 that I got. And then later that evolved into watching other uh, drone videos. Carson Miller was another one, that teenager from Indiana. And then I ran into Ken Heron, and I was just like blown away by him and all the people that follow him. And I thought, wow, that's fantastic. So how did you get into the other brands like Hubsan and so on?
Well, so as I progressed with drones, I after I had got the I ended up selling the Phantom 3, which I kind of regret. I kind of wish I still had it, simply
Right,
because it's just a classic, right? I mean, you know, it's like you said, it's a drone that a lot of people started with. So I kind of wish I'd have hung on to it, but I didn't. I sold it on eBay, and I think I sold it for more than I paid for it.
right.
But ended up with the original Mavic, uh, and I'm fortunate that I'm able to buy those kind of drones and do that kind of stuff. But one of the things that has intrigued me recently is the how the cost of there's a bunch of mid-price drones now that have a lot of features on them, and I like the idea. I think the Hubsan Zeno is a prime example of a drone that, you know, somebody can buy that thing with, and
Right.
they don't need to have a whole lot of money, and
Mm-hmm.
they can get some pretty darn good videography with it. I don't know if you saw my recent videos out in Arizona and Utah that I took
Yeah.
with the Zeno.
Right.
And man, I mean, so Ethan Mitchell actually took some of that footage that I took and
I,
color graded it, and it's just like, wow, this is from a $240 drone. I mean, that's pretty wild.
right.
And then, you know, I like to try the different drones. So I kind of digressed there. I ended up with that original Mavic, and when
Mm-hmm.
the Mavic Air came out, I sold it and I bought a Mavic Air. And the Mavic Air was great. The only downside to it was the noise,
Yeah.
and you well know, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
I love that drone. And you know, other people claim that they have problems with range, etc. I never had any of those problems. I don't know about you. All right,
Right.
it, I
Nope.
it flew great as far as I was concerned. The
Yep.
only objection I had to that thing was the and it's not even the how loud it is. It's the pitch of the thing that is can kind of
Yeah, that's
annoy you.
true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so neither here nor there. So then the Mavic 2, boy, and you know, that's about a year ago, and boom, I sold that Mavic Air on eBay
Right.
and grabbed a Mavic 2. And I should say that in the meantime, I purchased a Xiaomi Mi 4K drone, and you know that thing. As I can say, with all those FEMI drones,
Mm-hmm.
uh, they overpromise and underdeliver.
Right.
It was working great. It was a great drone, but it was always problematic. Ended up selling it as well.
Right.
But then I guess then the probably the Xeno came along after that. I bought that about last December. Uh, and then hanging out guys around with guys like with Ron Brown. Hey,
Right.
you start buying drones then. So then
Yeah.
that FEMI X8 SE, which there again is another drone that's
Hmm.
it's what I always say, and Brian Singleton always laughs at me when I say it, but it's a drone with a lot of promise,
Right.
and it's yet to achieve those. And as you know, there's a lot of people out there that have had, well, including myself. The first time I flew it, a prop blew up and it crashed.
Wow.
So hopefully, there's some great features on that drone, and if it all worked for the price point, it would be awesome. And then, gosh, the Parrot Anafi, what a cool little drone! I'm telling you,
Yeah.
uh, in that mid-price range, that Anafi is just amazing.
Hmm.
It's one of the nicest flying drones that I've ever flown. It's buttery smooth.
Right.
It's it's very very easy to fly, and takes great video. And I
Hmm.
had some problems with the original one that I got, and
Right. I remember
cool thing
that.
about
Yep.
buying from Amazon is I returned it. I had the replacement in 2 days.
Oh,
Uh,
awesome. Great.
yeah, which that's Amazon for you. And then
Yeah.
the flip side of that coin is Banggood.
Yeah.
And I bought a Feeney A3 from them, and that A3 is just another. Gosh darn it, you want to like it. You pull it out of
Yeah.
the box, it feels like it's quality,
Hmm.
but it's got a built-in FPV screen on the controller, which sounds like a good idea, right? That
Right.
sounds like a good idea, except for you can barely see it, and even standing in the sunlight, you just can't see it. I'm just
Right.
telling you, you're
Hmm.
out in the sun, you're not going to see it. If you get in the shade, you can kind of see it.
Right.
So you're essentially flying that drone blind most of the time. But worse for me is every time I take that drone up to altitude, the lens fogs up.
Oh boy.
So
Eh.
it just ruins the video, and of course,
Well, you need a
Banggood,
little windshield wiper that goes in front.
it needs it needs something. And the thing is, you hold onto the drone and it looks like it's pretty good quality,
Right.
but
Right. Right.
but it just isn't quite there. And
Hmm.
I wish FEMI could resolve their quality control issues, because if they could, they would have some very competitive products. So
Right.
yeah, and of course, I got a few toy drones like the Tello. Ron sent me
Oh,
Mr.
I
Brown.
love the Tello.
Yeah, Mr. Brown sent me this guy here. I need to do a review on. So I
Uh-huh.
haven't taken it out of the box yet, but
Right.
but, but we need to do that. So yeah, shoot, Art. That's about my drone history in a nutshell. There.
Right. Yeah, the fun thing about the Tello is uh, chasing cats with it.
There you go.
Yeah, I have
There
a
you go.
video of my sister's cat kind of playing around with it. And once I started up, he just bolted, and that is getting a lot of views, which is cool. So what I'm going to do is do put a nice thumbnail on it and an end card, and that'll probably bump up the views as well. So
Good, good.
I'm learning about thumbnails and end cards and stuff like that.
Yeah, YouTube makes it pretty easy for that
Yeah, it
stuff.
does. It does.
Yeah.
So, were you a nerd in school?
Yeah, so I guess you probably would have considered me a nerd. I don't know. I mean, I was the guy that was always playing with model rockets. I was a gearhead. I always had
Right.
a little mini bike or something I was messing around. Of course, growing up on a farm,
Yeah.
I was literally driving tractors from the time I was 8 years old, and by the time I was 10 years old, I was driving the combine and harvesting grain. So
Wow.
that's just kind of how it is when you're on the farm. So kind of around that stuff
Right.
all the time. But yeah, those kind of things, I guess, always held an interest for me.
Mm, cool. And what was your first computer?
First computer was a Windows based, as in a lot of people. So at that time, Art, I was living in Seattle, Washington.
Oh,
It would have been in
yeah.
the mid '90s, and I wish that I had got into PCs earlier, but I didn't. But when Windows 95 came out, I thought, like I said, living there in Seattle, I went out to Microsoft's Redmond campus when they had the big introduction for it, and attended a bunch of those events, and so I ended up buying a Pentium 100 computer, and the brand name, believe it or not, of that computer was Canon, just like the people that make the cameras.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And it was, as I recall, I mean, it was a bunch of money, Art. I think
Oh,
I
yeah.
paid even in mid '90s dollars. I think by the time I got a printer and this crappy little 13-inch monitor, I think I was into it about $4,000. I mean, it was
Yeah, I,
crazy.
I could see that back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah,
My,
yeah.
yeah.
How
Awesome.
about you?
My first computer was a Timex Sinclair 1000.
Oh, cool.
The little paperback book size computer. And that was my first real computer. And then I kind of lost interest in that. And then back in the early 90s, when I was still doing stand up comedy, everybody was starting to use computers to, you know, uh, write your material, your contacts for clubs and managers and all that stuff. And I thought, well, I better get one. So I got uh, a clone, an XT clone, which would be an 8088. So
Right.
and then I upgraded the hell out of that, and then I learned how to build computers. So
Yeah,
I,
I've done a
that
few of those myself.
all right. Hey, I gotta do a little bit of housekeeping here. I
Sure.
gotta say hi to folks. Mel 400 AGL, welcome. Mike B, aka the Drone Ranger, welcome to the show. Mitch, old guy and a drone. R Graphics is in the house, and who else is in? And Parts and Tech. Welcome to the show, Steve Mack. Welcome, 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 everybody. So we got a good crowd today. Okay, so and another thing I wanted to ask you: what editing software do you use for your videos and photos?
I've tried a few, and I see editing software as something that's very personal. Whatever works for you is the one that you should use. Everybody says,
Yeah,
well, DaVinci or
right,
Adobe Premiere or whatever, and hey, there's a bunch of great ones out there, and you can spend a lot of money or a little money. Somebody that's just starting out, I really think they should start out with something simple, which I did. I started with Windows Movie Maker, and
hmm,
you can laugh, but that taught me the basics of how the timeline works and how you
yeah,
cut video and add soundtracks and that sort of thing. I mean, it's a very basic editor, but it gets you started. But now I use Magic's Movie Edit Pro,
hmm,
and I'm very happy with it. I mean, if you've seen my videos, you know that I don't do a lot of color grading or any of that
right,
fancy stuff that a lot of guys that I really respect
right,
do. I haven't got to that point yet. But what it does allow me to do is it's very easy to set up a timeline,
yeah,
and I like using one of the things that I like to do when I fly is I like to do a screen recording with my iPhone so that when somebody's looking at one of my videos, they can see exactly what was going on with the drone at
mm,
that time. They can see all the telemetry and all that. Uh,
right,
so then if you throw the drone camera in there, and then I've got the Canon M50 that I'm talking to all the time, and I use it because I've got a good windproof mic for it, and it takes some pretty good video. And a lot of times I'll have my wife out there with a GoPro as
mm,
well. So you gotta blend all those together. And
right,
I found that Magic Movie Edit Pro makes it pretty easy to synchronize all that and get everything in sync.
Right. Well, for myself, I use Filmora, and I use a GoPro for my external camera. So when I say welcome to ArtCo Drone Solutions, and then I'll talk about, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and blah blah blah, and that's my other camera, and so works with that. And I just recently did a video of a water tower where I actually did some commentary on it to talk about the history of the water tower and the dimensions, and the celebration they had when it first opened, where the governor of Colorado and the mayor of Denver were at the celebration. So that that was interesting.
Well, I think what you just touched on there, Art, is important, and I see. I'm sure you do too. I look at a lot of drone videos, and you see some people that just take some amazing videography. You see things that you just go, wow, can that guy fly a drone? And did he really have the camera in the right position and all that? But then there's no narration with it,
Right.
or there's maybe just music. And what I find is I watch a minute or so, and then I
Mm,
kind of lose
lose
interest.
interest. Yeah.
So I think it's important what you just described. If you can put a narration in there and tell a little bit about the history. Josh at Parks and Tech is in the chat. He is.
Right.
I like his videos. He does the same thing. He explains what he's doing, tells you what's going on, and those are the videos that hold interest for me.
Right.
So I try and do that. And when I'm out at a location, whether it be the Snake River Canyon or Lucky Peak Reservoir, or even like when I was in Utah and Arizona, I try and do a little bit of research so that I can talk about that during the video. And
Right.
and then again, uh, so a lot of drone reviewers are pretty slick. They know the product inside and out. They know everything about that drone. That ain't me. I'm the guy that takes the drone out and flies it, and I kind of stumble through it, but I try and show it to the viewer just as I see it. And
Right.
like I think like the average guy is gonna pull the drone out of the box, and this is what he do. If I make a mistake, hey, they see it on my video. I
Right.
don't
Mm-hmm.
leave all that stuff in there. And then like I said, the other thing is I think it's also interesting to see the telemetry. When you see somebody flying, you can see what they're doing with that drone, and when they're going through the menus and altitude and speed and all those things.
Right.
I like that when I'm watching a video, so I try and
Mm-hmm.
include it in mine as well.
And that's what I like about Ken Heron. He kind of weaves a story into his videos, which and that makes it entertaining as well.
Ken is you just nailed it. Ken is an entertainer, and
Mm-hmm.
he's a phenomenal drone pilot.
Yep.
But first and foremost, he's an entertainer, and he does a good job at that. No
Mm.
question about it. And I mean, clearly he's very, very popular.
Mm-hmm.
We all watch the videos, and what I like, my favorite Ken Heron videos are the ones that he is actually, or a little bit of a tutorial, and he's showing us how to do something, how to
Right.
fly,
Right.
I like those.
Yeah, those DIYs, or how to make you a better pilot. So you learn a lot from them. Yeah.
Yep,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
exactly right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I
And
see Art. I'm just looking in the chat here. I see 400 AGL. I think he's got us beat. He says his first computer is a TRS 80.
yep, the Trash 80. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's well before my time
I had a
with a computer.
friend in high school that had one of those, and it had not the 3.5 inch floppy, but the 5.25 inch floppy drive. And my time at Sinclair didn't have that. We had a tape recorder that you saved your programs on.
So I never used one of those, but I had friends that did. And I remember it looked like a little cassette recorder, right?
Right.
And yeah, yeah.
Let's welcome Rick Halber to the show. Welcome, Rick. Thanks for coming in. Yep, that's right. That's right, Mel. Actually, a floppy diskette too. Yep. And yeah, the TRS-80. It was a pretty robust machine at its day. hmm
That's when Radio Shack was actually a thing.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and then there was Heathkit. You remember Heathkit?
I do indeed. And you talk about as a kid, I remember growing up getting those Heathkit catalogs in the mail and just
Oh,
poring over.
oh, me too. I'm like going, oh, I want to make that. I want to make that. I
Yeah,
want to make that TV. I want to make that.
they had all kinds of stuff in there that
Yeah,
was
they
fascinating.
did. I had some friends that built an Altair computer. That was like before the TRS-80.
Well, the Altair is the one that inspired Bill Gates and
Right.
yeah, so that's what kind of started it all.
hmm So what brought you to Idaho?
So work. So I retired just a little over a year ago, but
Right.
I spent my entire life in the dairy industry. Started off with a little dairy in Klamath Falls, Oregon,
Uh
and
huh.
then I went to work for what I thought was the biggest dairy in the world, a company called Dairygold, which was a farmer-owned co-op, and
Right.
that's kind of how I got around. That was in Roseburg, Oregon, and I spent about 6 years with them in Roseburg, and then
Right.
moved up to Seattle, and I would work for them in Seattle, and it was them that moved me here to Idaho, and I kind of became a regional manager for Darigold. I was covered
Us.
Montana, Colorado,
Right.
Utah,
Uh huh.
and Idaho for Darigold for
Right.
logistics, delivering milk. And then I spent my last 5 years at a company called Dean Foods, which is really the biggest fluid milk dairy concern in the country. Uh, in Colorado, you're going to know them by the brand name Meadow Gold,
Yep.
and that
Mm-hmm.
was the brand name here
Mm-hmm.
as well. And yeah, spent 5 really good years with them, and then I said,
Cool.
time to call it a career.
Yep. Yep. I'm getting close to retiring. I got a few more years left, and then I'll be retiring. I'm still trying to decide where I want to stay, where I want to retire. Colorado is getting too expensive to live in, and so I don't know, should I stay in the States or should I go overseas and retire over there where the standard of, where the cost of living is much, much cheaper, where your dollars will stretch
It,
quite.
it is. I would suggest you travel first, though. I mean, you can be shocked. I mean, the cost of living can be cheaper, but even we recently went on a vacation down to Costa Rica, and it's a lovely place.
Right,
Uh, but when you become very humbled when you see how the standard of living that some people live their whole lives
right,
by.
right.
And Costa Rica is a pretty wealthy Central American
Yeah,
country. Some of them are worse. So,
right,
but yeah, there are some great places. In fact, I have. There's a lot of expats in Mexico, and there's a lot of uh, locations that there are a lot of not just Americans but British, and they kind of congregate and
right.
yeah, you can. They love it.
hmm
Absolutely love
Well, I went to the Philippines a couple years ago, and I really like it there. One big thing, I don't have to shovel snow again.
Well, living in Colorado, I completely can understand where you're coming from there because you guys get snow in frickin' May and June.
Oh yeah, that's
Uh,
right.
yeah.
And you know, the Philippines has a lot of places, beautiful places to fly your drone, and I've met a lot of expats on YouTube that live there, and so I'm really kind of doing my homework on that. And my next trip is going to be to find out, okay, if this is really what I want to do.
Yeah, so that's what I think you're smart. Like you said, you've already been there, so I can tell you've done your homework, and that's what I would encourage
Hmm.
anybody to do. But you talk about standard of living. When I first moved here to Idaho, one of the things, I moved here from the Puget Sound, and one of the things that I thought was really cool about Idaho was how affordable it was. At
Right.
that time, in the late '90s, you could buy a brand new starter home, like a 1,200 to 1,400 square foot home with a two-car garage, for, get this, under $100,000. Uh, and of course, that's just all history now. Now boy, you just look at some cheap little shack that looks like it should be bulldozed, and it
Yeah.
sells 250,000, and you just go. I
Yeah.
feel sorry for kids growing up now because I don't know. I don't know how they're ever going to save up the money to get the down payment, to let alone make the payments on a house like that. But anyway,
Yeah. Uh, Josh at Parts and Tech, you're so right. Yep. Yep. I'm doing my homework, and I'm meeting a lot of people there. And a nice thing about it is then I'm close to Australia, and I have a lot of Aussie friends there that I could uh, hop on a plane, go see them, and then you're also close to Vietnam and Hong Kong, and it's only a 4 or 5 hour flight to Tokyo if you want to go up to Japan. So,
kind of in that Asian circle there. Yep, no doubt
yep.
about it.
Hmm. All right, so let's get back to drones.
My
So,
favorite topic.
yeah. So, have you seen the photos of this new DJI drone that might be the Mavic Mini or the Spark 2? And what do you think about that?
It's interesting. So, Bill, the drone reviewer, had a kind of a last minute show last night that he invited me on, and he put some pictures up, and we talked about it. You know what? I'm going to tell you, Art. I think it's legit, but that's just my opinion. I don't know anything. I don't. So just I want to make it clear to anybody watching. I don't know anything. That's just an opinion of mine.
Right.
It looks like a DJI drone.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that was a coincidence is yesterday I was out flying and trying out this guy, the Crystal Sky monitor,
Right.
and as soon as I was done, I stopped at Walmart to pick up a couple of groceries. And of course, what do you do when all of us that are drone people, we always go by the drone aisle at Walmart,
Yeah.
right? I mean, at least I do. I don't know. I was looking to see what they got. Well, they had the Spark on sale, the Spark with controller for $329. I mean, like,
Nice.
so that's telling me, okay, Walmart is clearing out their Sparks.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably a good reason for that, right?
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I saw a video this morning by I think is it Hey or Hi Kesterloo?
Hey, Kesteloo is what I've heard him called, but I don't know. Honestly, I don't know the correct
Yeah,
pronunciation.
he's a drone DJ, and I
Right.
somebody sent me a link, and I clicked on that, and it went to his YouTube channel where he was talking about the new DJI drone, and I mean it's shaped like a Mavic, and I thought, oh, if it's got a nice camera to it, and it's not as loud as the Mavic Air, it might be a really big seller.
Yeah, so I think there's some pent up demand. I ended up buying a Spark. In fact, Ron Brown, good old good old Ron, he found one. He tipped me off to a sale that Banggood was having, and it was not the Chinese warehouse; it was Banggood's U.S. warehouse, and
Ooh,
they were selling the Spark. They were clearing them out. I paid like $229 for my Spark,
nice,
but
nice.
that was without a controller. So
Oh,
so I used one of my DJI coupons, and I
right.
bought a controller from DJI for like $92 or something like that. Anyway, I'm into the thing for about $330, which is about the same as what Walmart has them for right now.
That's true.
And I didn't talk about the Spark earlier. I was kind of late to the game with the Spark.
Right.
Uh, that is a flippin' cool little drone. And I'm
Mm,
telling you, anybody that is just starting out and they don't want to spend a lot of money, that
right.
Spark is awesome. The only downside is that it doesn't have the flight time.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yep.
yeah, you end up getting a little frustrated because you'll get it up and you'll be doing something and you're just kind of getting into what you're doing and
And then
you get a
beep,
little
beep,
battery
beep,
warning and
time to come home.
yep,
Yep.
and you got to swap out and put another battery in it and get it going again.
Yep. Mm,
That's the only downside I can say to that drone. It only takes 1080p video, but that 1080p video
yeah.
is top notch,
Yeah.
and the pictures that you get off the pictures are 4K, the stills,
Right.
and the stills are just phenomenal off of that little
Mm-hmm.
guy. The other thing to say about it is that it is extraordinarily easy to deploy and to
Right.
retrieve,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a big deal. If you're flying something like this Phantom, I mean, this thing is bigger than that whole Spark put together. And it's
Yeah.
just a controller.
Yep. That's
Uh,
right.
yeah. And that's so I've been flying the Phantom lately, and I forgot how much you have to go through to get that thing in the air. You're installing props, you're doing all that
Mm-hmm.
business that you're not doing with the Spark. The Spark, like I said, it's easy to deploy, but the other advantage to it is it's so easy to travel with. When I'm flying someplace, I take that Spark with me. I can put it in my backpack. It takes up almost no space. And
Right.
like I said, you pull off to the side of the road someplace and you go, this looks cool. You throw it in the air for 5 minutes, you take some video, you drop
Yep.
it back in, boom. It's very casual and very easy to use.
And that's what I like about the Mavic Air. I find that I'm flying that exclusively now because it's so easy to take around. I could put it in a backpack or a one of those canvas bags. Throw that in there with a few parts, and then boom, you're out there. Uh, and it takes phenomenal video. It's 4K video and it's 4K
Absolutely.
photo, and I did some video and some photos for to build up my real estate work, and
Portfolio.
boy, they just came out awesome. A friend of mine let me video his house so I could practice, and that just came out really good.
Yeah,
Mm.
Art, so do you have your Part 107
Yes, I
license?
do. Hmm.
Yeah. I don't have one yet, and it's something I need to do. Yeah, it's of course it's getting back to that. Then it's $150 every 2 years and take the
No,
test.
not if you go through Remote Pilot 101, it's just that one time for the class. But you're right. I think to get your license again, yeah, I think it is $150.
Right, and then
Mm.
you have to pay to take the test too, right?
Yeah,
So
that's what I'm talking about when you take the
yeah.
test. Yeah.
Well, which is neither here nor there. Anybody that's serious about drones ought to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I
Mm-hmm.
got. They have to do. So you used the Remote Pilot 101 study
Yes, I
guide,
did. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
and
you
that
found that
really
to be helpful.
yes, I did, and it helped me to pass, and uh, I've got a year left on my certificate, so I gotta go and I should start studying again and get prepared to take the recertification and
Right.
get ready there. hmm
Yeah, yeah.
So
Uh,
uh, uh, Marcus, I gotta show the people something. Bill
sure.
Thomas made me this, and he's already put it on his show that I'm going to be a guest on next Wednesday. So uh, he did a phenomenal job on this. So I'm going to show this. This is going to be my new logo, and it looks and I that looks awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
So now I'll have to go back to Teespring and put that on some T-shirts and mugs to sell.
Yeah.
hmm
That's something I haven't done yet with my Idaho Quadcopter channel. Is put that logo on anything. I probably should, but yeah, it's just some. I'll be honest with you. I get so focused on, okay, what's the next video? What's the next,
Yep.
uh,
Yeah, that's true, and that's how I am. When the weekend comes around, I go, where do I want to fly now? What is an interesting? What place haven't I gone to? So,
Yeah, that's the thing. You're always looking for new places. Listen, I'll tell you though, and anybody watching and Art, if you get the chance, I'm telling you, when Sarah and I recently traveled through northwest Arizona and southern Utah,
right,
of course you're going through national parks and national monuments that you cannot fly at,
right,
but don't let that discourage you because there's so many places you can fly,
right.
and man, I took 3 drones with me. I took the Zeno, I took the Parrot and and I took the Mavic 2. And I would charge every battery I had up at the hotel every night.
Right.
And as we were traveling, it was just stunning. Every corner you'd come around, you'd go, well, man, I need to put the drone up there, And
Yep.
and Sarah even she started saying, oh no, we need to go over there, and So it's if you made me think of that when you're talking about places to fly, and people get hung up, and I understand that there's people like Bill Thomas. He lives up in Everett, Washington, and there's just controlled airspace all around
Yeah.
him. It's the land of Boeing, etc. But if you can get away, there's
Mm.
way more uncontrolled airspace than there
Right.
is controlled airspace.
hmm
And some of the best scenery is in the uncontrolled airspace.
Yep. Yeah.
The
Plus, all he has to do is go in the interior of Washington, go out on the Olympia Peninsula, or go out on the Pacific Ocean there, like what is
in the
that?
Puget Sound, there's got to be
Yeah.
some of those islands have to be. I can
Yeah.
imagine.
Vashon Island, and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, absolutely.
My folks lived there back in the 50s. My dad worked for Boeing, and my sister was born there, and they lived there, I think, 8.5 years before moving here to Denver.
Oh, nice, nice.
So that's
Uh,
how I got my connection to Washington. And I have
to the
a cousin that lives in Spokane.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Mm,
Spokane, of course, in eastern Washington.
right.
There, a little different kettle of fish. I spent a lot of time in Spokane with my job with Daragold.
hmm Yeah, and
But
that's it. You know what? That town is a beautiful place to fly. You got the waterfall that goes through town. If you're there and you have your drone, that'd be a great place to fly.
absolutely, yeah. That's the old Expo 74 grounds where they had
Right.
the
hmm
1974 World's Fair,
hmm
which I'm old enough to have attended that. Uh,
and plus, there's Coeur d'Alene is another beautiful place to.
well, oh gosh,
Yeah.
yes. Coeur d'Alene is just amazing. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then you have Montana. I don't know if they'll let you fly at that copper mine. That'd be a cool flight there.
My wife and I recently uh, took a trip up through Montana, and boy, we found a lot of places to fly the drone. It was the day that we were coming home. It was really windy, so we were faced with some high winds. But that's where drones like that Mavic 2 are just phenomenal.
Right.
You can put that sucker up in a gale force wind, and it doesn't even know what's going on. It's a powerful piece of equipment.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep, it is. Uh, Also, Ken mentioned on the show no chocolates for Ken, but you could send them to me. So I have a candy exchange as well. So if you have some chocolates you want to send, all you folks out there watching this, you could send chocolates to this address: Art Carlson, 5557 West 79th Avenue, Apartment 3, Arvada, Colorado, 80003. Also, if you have a broken drone or a drone that you don't want anymore, send it to that address as well. Mm-hmm.
Hey, so that reminds me, Art. So how are you doing? Are you going to be able to make it to Spin Up this year?
I am working on it. I've got the ticket to it. I'm still working on getting the airfare and the hotel. I'm like halfway through my goal. Uh, so I just need to get 325 bucks, and then I've reached my goal. And you know what? I will. Let's see. I think I have that. Yep, here it is on my. And I will copy and paste and put it in there. And there you go. So if you guys want to help out, throw a couple bucks in, help me. I'd really want to go to Spin Up and just meet all of you folks. And all the, if it weren't for a lot of you folks, I wouldn't have gotten this really nice drone, the Mavic Air, the Tello, the wonderful case for my Phantom 3 Advance, and the wonderful case that I got for the Mavic Air. You guys rocked, and I want to come to Spin Up and personally thank each and every one of you.
Spin Up is going to be fun. This will be the first one for me.
Right.
But Sarah and I are going to be there, and I
Awesome.
know Ron Brown is going to be there
Cool.
with his wife. I think Bill, the drone reviewer, is trying to make it. I don't think he is locked in yet, but there'll be. I'm sure Billy Kyle and Ken
Oh, yeah.
Herron and obviously Kelly is our host. So
Yeah.
it's going to be. It should be a phenomenal deal.
Cool. That would.
Anybody, we should talk to the people in the chat too. Boy, if you can make it to Spin Up, I would say it's going to be fun.
Yep. Yeah, if Chris Hope is there, he should put a link to it. I don't see him in there, but yeah, go to the Spin Up website, get registered, and it's going to be phenomenal there. What I would like to see is kind of a regional spin up so that some of us that are in far flung places could meet some of the people uh, in their region. Like the folks that live up in the Northeast, if they had a spin up in maybe Virginia or Pennsylvania, that would be a good place. Another one like the Midwest, maybe in Omaha would be. Oh, okay, that link didn't work. Huh. Well,
Well,
that sucks. I will. Uh, hmm.
yeah. So spin up. It's obviously I get your point. But I mean, it's also the flip side of that coin is it's cool to get nationwide, get everybody together. One of the
Right.
goals that I have, you know, one of the channels that when I was first flying that Phantom 3, I found Sean Matthews' channel, which eventually became Drone Seekers, and Sean had basically I watched a lot of his tutorials to learn how to fly the Phantom 3, but got involved with all those expats in Spain and that whole Drone Seekers group, which has really become an international group now.
Right.
People all over the world are involved in that. And one
Mm-hmm.
thing I'll say about Drone Seekers is it's a very, very positive group. Not a lot of drama. It's all about flying drones and having fun. But I guess the point that I was trying to get to was, one of my goals is to get over there to Spain one of these days and hang out with those guys for a
Oh,
week or
that'd be
so and go
cool.
on one of their drone meetups. I think that would
Oh,
be just
wow,
a
that would be awesome. Yeah.
uh,
And I would like to try and get an Asian version of Spin Up, like in the Philippines, and that way people from Australia, uh, uh, Young 360 could come down there, and folks from Indonesia. That'd be. Plus, I know a lot of YouTubers that fly drones in the Philippines. That'd be a great place to meet those folks as
sure.
well.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Hmm.
I have a lot of subscribers from the Philippines, and I'm sure you do as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, it is kind of a hot spot for drones. Well, obviously, everywhere in Asia is kind of a hot spot for drones. So,
Right.
and
Hmm.
that's what you're touching on there. That's kind of one of the reasons that I like messing around with like the Hubsan Zeno and the FIMI X8 and so forth, because quite frankly, they're more affordable, and people that
That's
don't
true.
have quite the standard of living that we're used to
Hmm.
in this country, hey, they can take some awesome video too.
Hmm.
And boy, some of the places they have to fly are just stunning. My older brother, just got back from the Philippines, and boy, he hiked all over that country. He hiked into a volcano. He did a bunch of fishing trips and so forth.
Right.
And some of the pictures he brought back were
Right.
amazing. And I'm not talking about the girls. I'm talking about the scenery.
Right.
And he really really had a good time there. And he, like you, gosh, he's an attorney that I mean, he doesn't need to for financial reasons, but he loves the Philippines, and it wouldn't surprise me at all
Hmm.
to see him retire there.
Uh-huh. And there are tons of places where you could retire in the Philippines. I mean, you don't have to just retire in Luzon. You could go to Cebu. You could go to Mindanao. Even Mindoro would be a nice, quiet place to retire, and just a short ferry boat ride to Luzon, and then you take a bus if you want to go up to Manila. So,
Yeah,
hmm
very civilized
and
and
they speak English there too.
yeah, American friendly, U.S. friendly. They
Hmm.
like us. Yeah, absolutely.
And they have one of the largest call centers in the world next to India.
That makes sense.
Uh-huh. And their English is American English, not British
Right.
English.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Hmm.
as opposed to India. Sure.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
And okay. So, what else was I going to say? And and this show is evolving, and down the road, I'm going to take this show to the next level to where I can have more than just one guest. And also, I want to show more, videos on this channel. And before I forget, uh, Ken Heron, he's got razzmatazz. Well, I have ArtMatazz. So let's relax in ArtMatazz. And oh, that's so relaxing. Oh, wasn't that relaxing? I think I
There
kind
you
of blew
go.
up the internet here. All of a sudden, there we go. Uh, it was weird. My YouTube feed just kind of went black, and now we're back. So we're good. Cool.
Yeah, I see it there. Looks good.
All right. I also posted my Teespring merch. I have some ArtCo merch as well. So I'm quite the entrepreneur right now.
There you go. Hey, so you brought that up. Do you do? Are you an Amazon affiliate or a DJI affiliate? Art?
No, I'm not. That would
It,
be nice.
yeah, I mean, it's not a lot, but here's kind of the way I look at it. It's it doesn't cost anybody anymore to buy when they use your affiliate link.
Right?
Uh, so, for instance, if I was going to buy anything from DJI, I'm going to use your affiliate link or Bill the Drone Reviewer's affiliate link or
Oh,
some
okay.
or Ron Brown's affiliate link because hey, they might as well get a commission off of whatever it is I buy because it doesn't make any difference to the in the price of what I'm paying.
Oh,
So
okay. I will look into that. Thank you for that
yeah,
information. Yeah, that would. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that could help fund spin up though too as well. The thing I'll say about DJI though is little people like us, they don't send us any cash. What you essentially get is credit in an account, but that's still cool because
Yeah.
if you buy something, then you use that credit for whatever
Oh,
it is you're
yeah.
buying.
That's true. If I need batteries, or if I want to buy one of their new products like the mini Mavic or the Spark 2.
Yeah, I don't know if we can see this here. I just bought this guy for my Osmo Pocket. It's
Oh,
the
cool.
extension rod, and I think it retails for about $69 or
Oh,
something. But I was able to use some of my affiliate credit
right.
to purchase that. So yeah,
Cool. Cool, cool,
yeah.
cool. So, Marcus, we just killed an hour. So, I want to thank
Well,
you
perfect.
for coming on and making this a great show. Oh, and the show wouldn't be complete without my little Ken doll.
There you go.
I don't know
Uh,
if you saw that video. Ken played that video on his show the other night of me donating blood.
And I missed that one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and
So,
so that's a Ken Aaron doll, huh?
well, the company that I work for is a stress relief doll, and it kind
Oh,
of looks like Ken. And I thought,
it
oh, I'll do a video and I'll say this is my Ken Heron doll, and you squeeze this while to help facilitate the
oh, when you're
blood
giving blood.
draw.
Sure,
Yeah,
sure, sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
Put that in your hand, you squeeze, and yep, and it's just
yeah.
right size for me because they usually give you a ball and it's like, wow, that thing is way too big for me, and then they give me a half a ball that's been cut up, and I
It
thought, you
still
know what,
doesn't work.
this is what I'm going to be bringing next time. My
Perfect.
next donation, I will be up to 3 gallons that I've donated.
Wow, that's amazing. That's
Mm-hmm.
huge.
Yep.
Congratulations. That's a great service.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So thank you for coming on to the show, and I wish you the best in your drone flying, and I look forward to seeing more of your great videos. So,
Thank you, Art, and you as well. And yeah, look forward to seeing you at Spin Up, meeting you in person.
all right.
All
Okay.
right.
Take care. Bye
Good
bye,
night.
everybody. Let's see you around the horn. Bye bye.